No city in America boasts more pirate history than Charleston, South Carolina.
A lot of people will talk about cities like, Key West, and even Savannah, and these being pirate towns, but honestly, they don't hold a candle to this town as far as what has happened here.
The most infamous pirate ever to call on this seafront city was the most famous pirate of all time, Blackbeard. In mid-1718, at the height of his pirate career, Blackbeard showed up off Charleston with a huge fleet of heavily armed ships carrying a pirate army.
And he comes with 4 ships, about 400 men. He's here for a better part of a week. He captures 8 ships going out to trade. They don't know he's there. And so the economy comes to a standstill, all to the actions of one man.
So they control the destiny of the city without actually having to fight anybody. In essence, the whole city was thrown into turmoil for part of the week.
Blackbeard made a fortune from the ships he captured during his stay in Charleston, as well as the valuables he stole from the passengers he took hostage. But surprisingly, the thing the pirate most desired, and for which he ransomed the city, was a chest of medicine for his crew, syringes and mercury to put in them.
We're getting into indelicate territory, but they have probably syphilis. It's the only means of treating syphilis at the time, and it's as simple as that. You're going to take these primitive catheters and they're going to be thrust into the urethra.
Pirates back in the day had an old saying, "An evening with Venus could mean a lifetime with Mercury."
Medicine and stolen treasure in hand, Blackbeard departed and turned his pirate fleet north, heading to a rendezvous with destiny. But one of the pirate commanders who was with Blackbeard here would return to Charleston, and not of his own free will. Steed Bonnet, a wealthy planter from the British Caribbean, is known as the gentleman pirate. He paid for his own ship and put to sea in search of adventure, but he was an amateur pirate.
He knew nothing about how to navigate a ship or to be a pirate.
And Steed Bonnet was not much of a seaman. I mean, let's face it, the man didn't know what he was doing most of the time at the helm of a boat.
Bonnet was captured after a 5-hour battle in North Carolina's Cape Fear River and was brought back to Charleston as a prisoner. He was convicted for his crimes and put to death.
December 1718, Steed Bonnet's going to be taken, trundled on the back of a horse cart down to White Point, noose put around his neck, and he's going to take a step into eternity.
Of course, one of the worst possible things for a gentleman, he was not able to wear his wig at the time of execution because it would just sort of unceremoniously flop off if he'd been wearing it.
Today, a monument in White Point Garden marks the area where Bonnet and many other pirates met their end.
This depicts the area where we executed pirates. Now, they would hang there gagging and choking to death, doing what they used to call dance the hip and jig, till they suffocated and died.
For these outlaws, there was no honor after death.
All these men were hanged. They just displayed their bodies for several days, hanging on the chains and in the gibbets, and then took them down at low tide and dragged them to the edge of the water and left them face down in the mud at low tide.
And of course, we can't fail to mention the most famous female pirate of all time, Bonney, who was the hot-headed daughter of a Charleston rice planter. Anne ran away with a sailor and wound up running with the pirate known as Calico Jack Rackham. When the law caught up with Rackham and his crew, Anne and another female pirate named Mary Read showed what they were made of.
When they were captured, the crew were all so inebriated that Anne Bonney and Mary Read, the only 2 women on board, were also the only ones defending the ship from certain doom. 2 women, literally outmanned.
As Calico Jack is being led to the gallows, he stopped and spoke to Anne one last time. And he said, "Well, I guess this is it, it's over." And she said, "Well, I guess it is. But if you'd come on deck that night, stood and fought like a man, there should be no need of them now hanging you like a dog." And that was it.
Though Blackbeard, Steed Bonnet, and Anne Bonney are long gone, Charleston still has many connections to its pirate past. One of them is the Pink House at 17 Chalmers Street. Though there is some disagreement about the exact date when the house was built, it's widely believed to be the oldest home in Charleston. The building originally housed a tavern downstairs and probably a brothel upstairs, and it was a place where pirates or smugglers would come in search of a rowdy night.
Come to port, they're going to look for a place to spend whatever money that they've gathered during their voyages, and the Pink House was one of the most notorious taverns here. As a tavern, this is of course going to attract pirates who love more than anything to drink. Rum, cheap, was potent. Average strength of a tankard here in Charlestown would have been about 90 proof.
Historian and actor Eric Lavender guides Charleston visitors on pirate walking tours, revealing the city's long and fascinating pirate history. The old Exchange and Provost dungeon sits on the spot where pirates awaited their appointment with a hangman. Exhibits in the dungeon underneath bring the story to life. Nearby stands the powder magazine, erected just a few years before Blackbeard became the scourge of the city. And in St. Philip's Churchyard, in the shadow of what is perhaps Charleston's most famous steeple, lies the man who brought Steed Bonnet to justice.
That is the grave of Colonel William Rhett, the man who captured pirates.
The pirate tour takes 2 hours, but
I have found out there's more pirate history here than I can cover in a 6-hour tour.
to really walk in a pirate's shoes, you might not have to walk at all. The schooner Pride is an old-fashioned sailing ship that allows you to see the city through a pirate's eyes.
I think the best way to see Charleston from a pirate's point of view is to get on the water, look and see the waterways that they would have seen, see what they consider the crown jewel of the British Empire, and see just that magnificent harbor and why it would attract ships carrying all that wealth.